Good morning, everyone. Why is Focus Assist on? I don't want Focus Assist on. Can you stop? Focus Assist. Where is Focus Assist? I don't want you. Get off. Welcome to a video about the 3900X versus the 9900K. This will be a short video. I've just been bugged by the videos that I've been seeing about, oh, hang on, I've got a cloth, haven't I, that I use under the microphone. That's right. And then it doesn't go bop, 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 bop. It's been a while since I did this, hey. I'm busy doing other stuff. Just watched a few pandering videos today from creators who are talking about their busy schedules and how difficult their lives were. It pissed me off too. But anyways, yeah, not 3900K. I believe it might have been an Intel processor. I don't know. But we're going to look at this very carefully, okay? Because I want to just preface this by saying that I disagree with the idea that the 3900X is less value for gaming performance than the 9900K. We're going to just have a look at their rankings overall, and first of fucking all, excuse my language, we have a higher gaming ranking and user benchmark, a non-biased test. We have a higher gaming ranking, the 3900X, by 1%. In fact, I mean, the workstation here is a given. It is a given that the workstation would be better because it has 12 cores as opposed to 8. But still, despite the turbo of 4.2, you've got, versus the 5.2, you've got a higher gaming score. And I guess a lot of the bench, you've got a slightly faster single core speed here, which is a given. I mean, 5.2 versus 4.2. You're going to get a faster single core speed, which is actually funny when you think about it, because 5.2 is not 7% more than 4.2. That's about 20-something%. So if they had the same IPC sort of status, if they had the same performance per core, or, you'd have a 20-something% increase in your single core speed as opposed to 7. But that's just because you've got a 7-core processor that's currently on top of the 9900K. And we look at the slightly faster quad-core speed, which, okay, I'll give it that. I mean, that's going to be a little bit, that's still 7%. And then this has got a much faster multi-core speed. You can probably presume that this would have been 7% on top of it at the same performance. If it had the same, it would have been 777 because over the bag it was basically like that. And again, remembering, of course, this is 7% more when it's got an extra gigahertz on top, according to the best benches. I don't know what is happening with this one. I don't know how you get 1.05. I'd say that person barely scraped through with a poorly overclocked processor and just kind of crapped the bed a little bit. You can see here how even though this 3900X has a faster base processor, I'm guessing this goes up to 5. It goes up as high as 5 on boost. So I was actually expecting the 3900X to be less expensive than the 9900K, but it appears, at least according to user benchmark, at least according to this website, that the i9-9900K is 747. Now, you have a 12-core processor that is $21 more than an 8-core. You know what I mean? That's pretty crazy when you think about that. It's pretty crazy how the pricing has shifted for these higher core CPUs. And that's not including the 16-core, which is due in September, the 3950X. I know that Intel is coming out with a faster 9900 called the 9900KS or something, which just naturally gets to 5 gigahertz, which I think is good. Would I recommend either of these cards for gaming? In honesty, I wouldn't, really. See, because I've been having people look at these two, CPUs and thinking, oh well, um, the one with the highest clock speed should be the one that gets the ticket. And it's like, yes, the 1900K has a higher clock speed of around 5 gigahertz. And it can go higher than that if you use special cooling, if you overclock it with special cooling. The problem I have with is because the majority of games don't need 8 cores in the first place. And so if we're talking about, a gaming card, you could probably go down to the 9700, which has, that's delayed cores 8 threads. You could probably go down to the 9600K, which can go down to 5. If you were going to do gaming, I wouldn't even bother with the 9900K. And the same token, if you're going to do gaming, I wouldn't even bother about the 3900X. If we look at the equivalent, the 3800, like if we look at the price range, this here, this almost looks like it was aimed specifically. You look at that, 9600K, 3600X, 9700K, 3700X, 9900K, 3900X. The AMD knew what they were targeting. This 3600K, 9600K here can boost up to 5. It's 6 cores. So you could probably, it would be a far better gaming chip. I'm not sure why it only has 6 threads. I think that means that it might not have hyper-threading. I don't know. I don't want to be quoted on that. But it's weird to me that you have a processor that is $19 more, has twice as many threads, has a slightly higher base clock, a smaller form factor. Now you have a look at, this. This is better value on Intel's part, right? You look at the 9600K, that has a 10% single core speed, and a 6 that has. Now that's interesting that they have the same amount of cores, and the Ryzen has a much faster OC multi-core speed. Now that's very interesting, isn't it? It's interesting that there's this massive increase once you get to 6 cores. It's almost like the Ryzen chip was designed to be for use with sort of production based activities. You look at both of these chips. Like if you compare this to the 3600 to a 27, where is that's way too low. What am I doing? I'm looking for the 2700X. Down the wops. Here we go. So the 2700X, which is what I've got at the moment, and which I'll be upgrading from, I hope, soon. This is a more expensive card, and this performs better at it in the majority of situations. Yes, it has as faster multi-core speed, but you look at the improvement at 15% and 14%. So this is more what I'd be expecting if you were going to say that Intel was a better gaming card than AMD. I'd be expecting that when you have a gigahertz on top of core capacity, you would have about 15% to 14% increase in your stats. This here to me does not speak a confidence on my part. So we're back to these guys. I mean, you could look at even the 36. I mean, like there's probably no point in the 36, to be honest. I mean, the 36 does 6 cores, 12 threads, but really, I don't understand what the point is. It's just a slightly overclocked 3600, isn't it? Really. I mean, you may as well just go for the 3600X because you know that's directly competing with this. Against the 3600 itself, which is, again, it's $58 less, You get 50%. Oh, so you might be able to justify that. Like 15% is going to make a noticeable difference in your games. 10%, not so much. And when we get to 1900 versus 3900, no, 7% is not going to make that much of a noticeable difference in your gaming. And the reason why I stand by that statement is because in order for you to have a GPU that actually matches the capacity or the capabilities to processors, you're going to be looking at a 20 series NVIDIA card. You're going to be looking at something like a 2070 Super or a 2080 Super. Or maybe even a 2080 Ti if you want to do 4K. And at that point, if you're using a 4K monitor, even the 2080 Ti can't do 120 FPS across the majority of titles on ultra settings to high settings. I mean, why spend 2,500 NZD on a graphics card? NZD, by the way, not USD, NZD, New Zealand dollars, because I live in New Zealand. Why bother spending that much money on a card if you're not going to get 4K 120? So I guess what I would personally recommend is getting a 2080 or a 2080 Super. I mean, you could get a 5700 XT, but from what I can tell, they're just way too hot because of the fan design. I don't know why they used the blower design for those. I wish that AMD had taken a leaf out of NVIDIA's book and used the blower design for that, but they decided to just take the piss again. It's just silly. That's besides the point, right? You look at these two cards, they're a similar price. Yes, it's true that the 3900X is definitely more of a card that you would use for production. When you compare the 3700X, this is the same, this is legitimately, they're aimed at both of these. This is not good enough to justify a $250 difference in price. At all. Not in the least. This is not good enough to justify like 11% and 7. This card, right? It goes up to turbo 4.4, 5. It has a higher, faster turbo frequency. But at stock, it goes up to half as much. They said 14, 15 down there, and this is 7, which therefore means the IPC improvements on the 3700X are considerable. No, you're not going to get the same gaming performance as 3700X from 9900K. But you've got a much better 2700X here, a 3700X, that has what, a 65 watt TDP? That's fucking ridiculous. Look at that. Like, that's 95 watts. The 2700X was 105. I'm actually far more tempted to go for something like this if I was going to upgrade than maybe the 3900X, because I mean the 3900X has a TDP of 105. That's ridiculous. At least with this, I know I'm going to get a really fucking badass overclock, you know? You're going to get a really cool overclock off of this. And when you compare the 3700X to what, the 2700X, you have 13 to... You have at least 13%. This doesn't overclock as well, maybe, as the 2700X did, judging by these stats. But still, I don't know. But even then, it's like worth considering, do I want to actually upgrade the 2700X to get a 3700X? And that's where, again, I talk about the graphics card pairing. You do not need any of these cards, really. I mean, you don't need any of these CPUs to be able to get 1080p at like 60. You haven't needed that for 4 years. You probably haven't needed that since the 900 series NVIDIA cards. You could probably get 1080p 60 on nearly every single card that exists on the mainstream market that was released this year at the moment. Well, at least the majority of them. Not including the graphics that come inbuilt to CPUs. I mean, like dedicated graphics cards. And I look at this and I think that it's really redundant to even talk about gaming with these cards anymore, because the majority of the games which you're going to play with a graphics card that pairs with a CPU like this, that you're going to be getting a high-end graphics card, and you're not going to need to worry about the FPS. You're not going to see an FPS difference because all of these setups are going to hit 60, if not 120 on 1080p. And, with a 1080 or a 1080 Super, you're probably going to hit 60, if not 120 FPS and 1440p. And as I said before, there's no point in investing in a 2080 Ti unless you're looking for 120 on absolute ultra 1440p. Alternatively, you might be looking for, might be future-proofing yourself, but here's the thing, right? You look at the 2060, the 2070 Super, right? The 2080 Super, you've got to use your brain. Think about what that means for you as a consumer. Do you think that NVIDIA are going to release a 2080 Ti? Do you think they would have had one in stock? In the back room, if AMD had pulled out the plug and brought out a 58... Well, they are planning on bringing out a 5900 XT and a 5800 XT. Of course they are. So NVIDIA, has probably got a 2080 Ti in the back burner right now. This is the reality, is that if you buy a 2080 Ti at the moment, you're going to screw yourself, because Nvidia will release a 2080 Ti at exactly the same price. That's called the Super, and you'll be shit out of luck. Because the 2080 Ti, thanks to what Nvidia has done with the 2060, 2070, and 2080, has now become a redundant card. Because no, I don't think you should trust Nvidia to keep that as the top. I think they're going to release something better than that. They've already shown improvements across the 2060, 70, and 80 range in terms of the card's base performance, increased clocks, etc. And there's no reason why they can't do the same with the 2080 Ti. There's just no reason why not. If you're looking at pairing a 2080 or a 2070 Super or a 2080 Super with these, I would recommend it. I don't know. If you're going for like a 1660, right? If you're going for a 1660, you could probably get away. I mean, shit, man. You're going for a 1660 or a 1660 Ti. You could probably go for one of these and have a good time on 1080p. I mean, 6 cores, 3.6 gigahertz. You know, you're not gonna have a bad time with that at all. That's about 450, 460 USD. Oh, I'm sorry, New Zealand dollars. This is exactly the point. Don't bother with a 360, actually. Just go for the 360, 3600X. Don't worry about the 3600. It's kind of like I feel bad for it. I don't know why they bother releasing it. But yeah, you'll see that they've got the same kind of setup where they have, the mixed cores mixed about the same, and then the multi-core. So effectively, with the 3rd gen Ryzen range or the Zen 2 range, you're looking at basically, do you want to have 6 threads, 8 threads, 6 cores, 8 cores, or 12 or 16? And any of those amount of cores, you can see there that when you go down to the 3600 X, you've got 6, which is perfect for gaming loads. And as we already addressed before, I mean, if you look at the Intel 9600, where is that? The 3600X. It's 10%, but it's not great. I guess to find the best kind of comparison, I guess you could go for this, where you have a 6% difference. So like, if you're going to be generous, you could say, right, I'm pairing the 9700K against the 3700X. And I can see here that this here, the SC mixed, is only 6% better, so therefore if I was going to choose between the top end... Oh, the 900K does have hyperthreading, that's cool. 9700K doesn't, but it's still $54 more. To summarize this video, because I know it was a bit of a ramble, it frustrates me, the coverage of what's been happening with this launch. I can see when there is some hesitation with AMD in terms of how some of the reviewers are approaching it. I can see, like, I watched Gamers Nexus's review of the 3900X versus the 9900K, and he was talking about how, like, it was a great card for production, but, like, it's undisputed that the 9900K is the gaming king. And yeah, it's the gaming king if you're purely relying on a 900K to pull a graphics card behind it, but like to pair a graphics card with either of these two without bottleneck, you're going to need a high powerful card. You're going to get 120 FPS on 1080p or 1440p in most situations, on most settings. And 4K, well, maybe you won't, but that's when you get a 2080 Ti, but you don't because you know that Nvidia's got a 2080 Ti Super somewhere in the works. I just think that this coverage talking about how the 900K is the king of gaming, how Intel is the king of gaming, is disingenuous, because the reality is that for it to be the king of gaming, it would need to be the best at gaming, and when you've got a setup where it doesn't give a shit whether you're using one overly powerful CPU or another, it doesn't matter. Your computer will be able to render the games just as well. If it's a pissing contest you want, where you want to go, oh, my CPU has the highest FPS, then that's fine, but the majority of gamers will not experience a difference because of the improvements and like FreeSync and G-Sync and stuff like that. Like, to NVIDIA's credit, what they did with allowing people to use G-Sync on FreeSync monitors was fantastic. It was a fantastic move. They realized that it was kind of dumb to have proprietary monitors, and they allowed people to use, because I'm using a FreeSync monitor that uses G-Sync and it's beautiful. I just think you need to just be realistic about it. For someone that is going to be spending, what, 750, 1250 USD, that's 2000, maybe $3,500 on a rig. If that person is working at 1080p 60 FPS or 1080p 120, or if that person is using 1080p at all when they've got that kind of setup, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Because why would you limit yourself to 1080p if you had that kind of budget? Why wouldn't you just go to 1440p? You could argue, well, I want to stream, in which case you have a dual monitor setup where you have a 1080p monitor and then you have a 1440p that you use. Alternatively, what you do is you just don't get that stuff. You just don't buy these processors, and you save money and you buy something more reasonable like the 9700K or the 3700X. You just be smart with you just be more intelligent with your purchasing decisions. It's not difficult at all. Like, you can see here that the 9700K does have a speed improvement over the 3700X. But it's also $54 cheaper. You know, like the score here is 113 versus 113. And I'm wondering if this came into the scoring for it. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, that's the video. It's been a long video. You probably see that the time has been ticking along. I haven't made a video in a while. I've been sick for a long time. You may have noticed the stream stop. It's because I went to Queenstown for a week and then I got sick in Queenstown. So then I just ended up just not doing streaming for a while. I've been working on stuff in the meantime. Like, I have a list of stuff I do where I do like a workout, I meditate, I do mindfulness, and I do a Sudoku every day. I'm learning Japanese at the moment. I'm also reading every day. I'm getting through books, like one book a week, almost. And I do game design, and I do photography course, and I also work on my company where I do music tuition and stuff. And I also occasionally do video production. I probably said I do game design, yeah. And I also practice my instruments, so I play guitar, bass, drums, piano, and ukulele. And I also do some DJing from time to time, as well as music production and audio engineering. And I do a lot of stuff, you know? And it's because I like to keep myself busy. I also watch a hell of a lot of YouTube videos because I only really work 4 hours a day at the moment. Because I earn $45 an hour in New Zealand, and that means that I earn the equivalent of the living wage on a 20-hour work week, which is pretty sweet. But anyways, that I haven't been streaming, but I've got my eyes on a 2080 Super when they come out on July 23rd. They're a lot better for streaming with. I'm also heavily considering a 3700X just because of the lower TDP. I think that'll counter the... If we go to GPU, right? Here we go. So we can see that this is about 20... Yeah, this is way better, man. It does better on Minecraft? The 1080 does better on Minecraft. That's funny, man. So yeah, I'm gonna probably be buying a 2080, and that'll help a lot with my ability to stream. And if I get the 3700X, it'll mean that I have a lower TDP, lower heat output in my system, which should counteract the increased... Like, how much warmer will this make my system? Is it 215? I get a feeling it's like 215. Specs. View full specs. It's 225. Oh crap. Yeah, exactly. So like, I've gotta be more careful. Oh no, that's the Founders Edition. I don't know. It's fine. I'll figure it out anyways. But I want to wait for the 2080 Super anyways to see what that's like. But the video is done, is basically what I'm saying. So thank you very much for watching. Apologies for any bad language. I'll put it in the title just so that people know that there is some bad language, just because I cannot be bothered with I just cannot be bothered with having people say, "Oh, you said the bad word." I'm an adult. I'm 28 years old. But you've also got to kind of just, you've got to let people know when you say a bad word, because otherwise they might get taken by surprise, I suppose. Okay, have you got the full specs for this? 250, yeah, so I absolutely need to have the better card. Yeah, so there'll be a warning about the language. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully that educates you on the 9900K versus the 3900X. None of it matters. None of it matters. None of it matters. You can go for either or and it'll still be fine. You have to be objective. You have to be objective when you look at technology. This hype about numbers is redundant if you've got a cap on your monitor for 120 FPS. Doesn't matter whether one Intel processor hits 160 and one Ryzen hits 150 or 145, being generous to Intel. If your monitor is 120 FPS, it doesn't matter. You're going to hit 120 and you're going to be happy either way. So have fun, okay? Tech is fun. Stay cool. See you later, and I'll be back soonish. I'd be streaming every day if I had my 2080. I would. I would be doing that, I promise you that. It's annoying me that it's difficult for me to get the stream quality I want. So, yeah, that's the truth. Bye-bye.